Welcome back to another episode of Week in Review. We've got a very different content schedule this week, with the majority of content focusing around CitizenCon. As such, we'll take a look at the CitizenCon event, the road to release, Squadron 42, and more. So at number 6, we have the 3.3 General PTU. This week sees the PTU released to the public at long last. The final keynote of CitizenCon saw Chris open up the PTU to concierge and subscribers, with the general public coming a few days later. This PTU release includes almost all the features from the original roadmap, including OCS, but Hurston is still yet to be added. Citizens are getting stuck in testing out each feature of the release and sending their feedback to CIG. At number 5, we have the Flight Ready Sail, the Valkyrie, and the Kraken. Alongside the CitizenCon event this week, we saw 2 new ships announced, the Drake Kraken and the Anvil Valkyrie. The Valkyrie is the first direct-to-flyable ship, being flyable in Alpha 3.3. It's an all-new dropship from Anvil Aerospace, being heavily armoured to move the 5 crew and 20 soldiers into the battlefield in one piece. It features heavy weaponry to ensure it's capable of delivering your troops to the drop site without issue, and can be picked up for $330 war bond and $375 non-war bond right now over on the RSI website. The Kraken is an all-new capital ship, being designed for citizens specifically. This huge carrier can move ships and cargo alike, and allows you to deploy your fleet effectively at a moment's notice. It's gone down well with citizens, and while you can't currently purchase this ship, you can register your interest over on the sale page to be eligible to purchase one in the future. Alongside these new ships, we see the Flight Ready Sail, allowing citizens to pick up the Aegis Hammerhead, the Tumbrel Cyclone variants, the RSI Constellation Phoenix, and the reworked Mustang series at both war bond and non-war bond pricing, with all options coming in at 6 months insurance. At number 4, we have the roadmap update. Despite the CitizenCon announcement, CIG gave us an update to the roadmap this week on Friday. 3.3 moves another 3% this week, bringing us to a 97% total as we roll to PTU. 4 more tasks were marked off as complete, with only 6 remaining, one being manned and remote turrets on vehicles that currently sits at 95%, with 1 task left to complete, and the remaining 5 being the 4 OCS tasks and the performance optimization task. OCS is currently the least progressed task at 33%, seeing no progress this week, but we have seen it working in the PTU despite the fact that it's buggy and unfinished. 2 of the OCS prerequisite tasks gained progress, with them now being sat at 90, 97 and 97% each. As data continues to roll in from the PTU, CIG continue to work and patch the tech ready for release. And that's all for 3.3, so let's take a look at Alpha 3.3.5. This release actually sees progress lost this week, with an overall 1% drop in completion taking us to 91%. No-fly zones have had their tech finished off, having been showcased at CitizenCon, and only 2 tasks remain. Hurston made no progress this week, but Lorville lost 4%, likely due to a number of tasks added after its PTU debut to the Evocati. Looking even further ahead, none of the other releases have seen any progress this week, but we'll hopefully see some revisions and updates to the roadmap in the coming couple of weeks as CIG finalises the live build and moves on to the next release. At number 3, we have the road to release. The final keynote at this year's event was the road to release, where Chris outlined the plan for the next major milestones for Star Citizen. In his eyes, the game won't be ready for a release until full persistence is implemented, allowing you to leave zones and have the items where you left them when you return. Once this tech is built out and working correctly, CIG will look to release a build that doesn't reset each time there's a release, with content patches simply adding new features to the game. There's no timeline for this to happen, but Chris encouraged us to watch the roadmap for new features coming online. The other tool announced is a Telemetry Tracker, allowing citizens to see the average FPSs for their hardware configuration, server statuses, and FPSs, and more. This should allow citizens to diagnose issues, whether it's their client or the server that's causing problems. At number 2, we have Squadron 42. Chris gave an update on the progress of Squadron in the closing keynote of this year's event. All major tech pieces are now complete, with OCS being the last piece of the technical puzzle for its release. The remaining work to bring the game to life is entirely content, and CIG will be publishing the roadmap in December. There's no timeline for the release just yet, but if we don't see it by next CitizenCon, we'll almost certainly have a lot more information and timescales by then. And finally at number 1, we have the community overview. The community is happy this week, having seen a range of new content from CIG focus more around new game features, rather than tech which is a year or more away. The latest Squadron trailer was so convincing, many on Twitter believed it was a movie trailer, much to the delight of many citizens. And that's all for another year. CIG are making some real progress, and I for one am very excited by what we've seen. That's all from me for this week. Like if you liked it, get subscribed, and leave me a comment down below letting me know what you thought. I'll see you in next week's episode of Week in Review.